Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty amazing, how the nation of Oman managed to completely transform its government for the digital age. It's a story that's all about how a bold vision and a really smart strategy can deliver what feels like a decade's worth of progress in just a couple of years.
Okay, so let's just start with the big question, right? How does an entire nation go about modernizing itself for the digital age? I mean, we're not just talking about a few new websites here. This is about fundamentally changing the entire operating system of a country.
Well, for Oman, the answer, it all starts with having a really clear, really ambitious goal. Think of it like a North Star for everything they were about to do. And they called it Oman Vision 2040.
And listen, this was not some fuzzy corporate speak mission statement, no way. This was a super concrete target to completely reshape how the government works and, really, to build a society that runs on knowledge and efficiency.
Okay, so you've got this grand vision, but how do you actually make it happen? You need a blueprint, right? Let's take a look at the specific program they created to turn that vision into a reality.
And that solution was a program they called Tahawul. The name itself is perfect. It literally means transformation. It kicked off back in 2021, and its entire job was to lay the foundation, the bedrock for this new digital Oman.
And this is where their strategy gets really smart. They built it around these four core pillars. See, they understood it's not enough to just have great tech and infrastructure. You've got to empower people with the skills to use it, and you have to get the public on board. It's the whole package.
All right, so the strategy is set. The pillars are in place. But what did they actually build to make this whole thing work? Because, a plan is just a piece of paper without the right tools.
So they built this engine to drive the change. You've got a single government portal, so no more bouncing around a dozen different websites. They created OmanNet, a unified payment system for everything. And then there's this initiative, Monjem Labs, which is just brilliant. Think of it like a special forces team for cutting through red tape, streamlining more than 380 government services. Just incredible.
But here's the million-dollar question, right? It all sounds great on paper, but did it actually work? Well, let me tell you, the numbers tell a really powerful story.
Just look at this number, 26.9 million. That's the number of digital transactions that took place in just the first 11 months of 2024. That's not just a statistic, folks. That is proof positive that people were jumping on board in a huge way. And it gets better. The program's overall performance shot up from 53% to 80%. And check this out. They simplified 96% of the services they targeted. 96%. These numbers mean that the government actually became easier and faster for regular people to interact with. That's the real win.
And this chart right here really puts it all into perspective. You're looking at a jump from 9.4 million transactions in the entire year of 2023 to almost 27 million by late 2024. That's nearly a threefold increase. It just shows you how quickly people adopted this new way of doing things.
It's one thing to see success internally, but it's another thing when the rest of the world takes notice. And they did. The UN's Global E-Government Index saw Oman jump 9 spots, landing at 41st in the world. That's some serious international validation right there.
Okay, so we've seen the big numbers and the global rankings. But what does this actually feel like for someone living in Oman? Let's zoom in and look at the impact on the ground in one city.
All right, so let's take the capital city, Muscat. Think about all those things that used to be a total headache, right? Endless paperwork, standing in lines, things like getting a building permit or renewing a lease contract. Well, now all of that, plus 21 other services, can be done on your phone through an app. That is a game changer for daily life.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that by being so methodical, by focusing on each step, the vision, the strategy, the tools, and then measuring the results, the Tahawul program has pulled off something really, really significant. In fact, the source material had a fantastic way of putting it. It said that Oman has successfully built the essential hardware of its digital government. And that's the perfect analogy, isn't it? It's like they've built a brand new, top-of-the-line computer. The infrastructure, the platforms, the streamlined services, that's all the core hardware you need to run powerful software. And that's the key thing to remember. This whole incredible program, it wasn't the finish line. It was just step one. It was about building that foundation. Which leaves us with one last really exciting question to think about. Now that the hardware is built, what's the amazing new software they're going to build on top of it?